Your destination is on the left.
Good, how are you?
Great.
You too.
Corin.
Kirstin.
Kirstin, pleasure. Almost right. Please welcome to our disaster area.
Yeah. Hey,
Have a
short
seat.
notice.
Make yourself at home. I'm Corin.
I'm Kirstin,
Kirstin,
better known as Panda.
better known as Panda.
Yes.
I'll just let you all know we had recorded this earlier and we had a snafu with the sound. It happens, but we are back in action. We were talking about where you were born, which was
Well, born here in Springfield at Cox South, actually, and then raised from birth till 18 in Bolivar, which is about 30 minutes north of here.
right. And how big of a town is that?
I actually have no idea. It's smaller than Springfield. I know that much. And I think Springfield's like 100,000 now, so smaller than that at least.
Okay.
So.
But you had mentioned that you went to all of your schooling
Yeah,
up until
kindergarten all the way through in Bolivar.
17.
Until 17, where I kind of went stupid and ran off with a boy.
But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Well, I'm curious about because your parents are still together,
Yes.
which is just beautiful.
Yes.
And we were talking about how you would do chores with your father
Mhm.
and help him out and all of that, and if that was a good bonding moment for you.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of the things that I know now how to do, like fix my car, go hunting, deal with guns, that kind of stuff, any mechanical issues. My dad taught me that stuff when I was younger. It was just the way we communicated best. It was just to kind of go out in the garage and throw something together and see how it all worked.
I love it. I love that. And what was your relationship with your mom like?
Oh, best friends.
Really?
Best friends. I love my mom to death.
That's wonderful. I
Yes.
love that. And was she? Did both your parents work?
Mhm.
Would you have considered yourself middle class, lower middle class, upper class?
Probably lower middle, mid to lower middle.
I
would say.
was upper lower.
Mhm.
I want to get myself as close to the
Yes.
top as I can get there. So did you? Was there much financial stress on the family growing up?
Not that I can remember. If
Okay.
there was, they definitely didn't let me see that part. You know,
Yeah.
it was. I didn't really want for anything.
You were an only child.
Yeah, I was an only child, so I didn't have to share with anybody. And we didn't really have. I was kind of a very shy kid, so
Okay.
I didn't really have a lot of friends over and stuff like that. Just,
How did that translate in school? Your shyness and being
Well,
more introvert.
more often than not, once I got to know one person, I am very outgoing to
Mhm.
people I know. But it's new people that kind of freak me out. And essentially what I did was just start making friends with everybody, all the cliques. Like, that's just the person I was. I
Yeah.
hung out with the loners, hung out with the jocks, all that kind of stuff. And it was just, we'll see where I fit.
And what did your
thing.
what did your father do for a living?
He did work at Track and Marine, building boats and stuff like that.
That's a cool job.
For about 20 years.
Yeah.
And now he's switched up jobs. Like, they had to move to Kansas City for job opportunities because they wound up laying him off, and it just, nothing he did. It
Sure.
just, had to happen that way. And so they wound up moving to Kansas City. I know my mom owns her own house cleaning business now.
Uh-huh.
And I think Dad is helping rebuild, like refurbish apartments and stuff like that.
Sure.
But before my mom had her own business, she worked at Ozark Ornamental Concrete for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, all the big concrete statues you see out painted and stuff like that, she did all of that.
Really?
And each summer I'd go with her,
Yeah.
and I would help her make that stuff, and I'd work in the shop with her and sell the stuff and all that kind of stuff. So like, they definitely set me up for a very good, steady life, like
Did-
understanding that stuff.
And were they tough on you, or were they nurturing, or?
I would say my dad was a bit more strict. My mom, tough love. We'll put it that way. But more, of course, my dad's a big old teddy bear. But don't tell anybody about that. But they definitely were very nurturing. Like anything that I wanted, they always told me, whatever you put your mind to, you can always do. You know, if I wanted to do any kind of sport, they would encourage it to an extent.
Sure.
You know, if it would cause physical harm or something like that, they tend to shy away from it and stuff like that. But I was able to do tennis, arts and crafts, stuff like that, all throughout.
So you were kind of the golden child for them. Is just
So to speak. My mom does say that even as a baby, I was one of the wonderful ones that slept through the night and didn't really fuss, didn't really fight, that kind of thing. I didn't really get in trouble very often.
So did you feel that you had a truly stable home life?
For the most part, up until I was 11, and then that was when I found out that I had been adopted.
Ah.
But the twist of that is my mom and dad, Sean and Becky, are my aunt and uncle.
I see. Okay.
My Becky is my aunt biologically.
Yeah.
And come 11, they sat me down on the couch and they were like, we got to tell you something. And mind you, my dad's the type of dad that does not cry.
Yeah.
Doesn't really, he shows happy and stuff like that, but he doesn't really show sad or cry. And he immediately started crying. And I was like, oh, something's wrong. Something's up. I already knew something was up. And then they told me, they're like, sweetheart, you're adopted. And that hit a lot harder than I thought it did. Like, looking back, I realize it made me question who I was and all kinds of things.
I can imagine. Do you think that it was smart of them to tell you that at that age?
I do.
Okay.
Just simply because they made absolutely certain to reassure me that it didn't change anything about it, that they were always there to talk if I needed to. And I think if they had waited a little bit longer, mind you, was just about to start middle school.
Yeah, exactly.
So if they had waited a little longer, that would have been a lot harder for me to handle, I think.
Or if you had somehow accidentally found out on your own.
That would have been bad.
It'd been pretty rough.
Yes, very rough.
Having found that out, at 11, and then going back into your regular life with the kids that you went to school with and the people you hung out with, was that something that you hid from them?
No, actually I didn't. In fact, it kind of made me go down a not so good route with friends. I kind of got in the wrong crowd of people just because I guess it's almost bad to say, but in my mind it was like, well, they're messed up. I am too.
Right.
Kind of thing. When in reality, none of us were messed up. But, that kind of mentality at that age is kind of like, something's wrong with me. It has to be.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, I understand that completely. I know that, especially a teenager, it's really difficult to take critical advice, from a lot of people.
Yeah.
We think we know it all, and then also, if we latch on to some kind of pain or rebellious kind of situation that because I know I did, and it drove me into all kinds of trouble.
Oh yeah.
So. When you started down that path, the more rebellious path, did being an adopted child or a child whose parents maybe didn't care about, or the idea they didn't care enough about me to keep me or whatever, did that become like a badge of honor in a sense in terms of the character you were creating for yourself at the time?
In actuality, at that time, it became a badge of shame.
Okay, gotcha.
Mainly because I never took it as, well, I'm lucky. I always took it as, there has to be something wrong with me for a mom to want to give me up. Like, no matter what, I had to have done something wrong. And that just took me down a very negative and dark mind path, or like thought process, where
Absolutely.
it's just like, well, clearly I'm trash, so to speak, so I
Right.
guess I can treat myself that way and let everybody walk all over me, and I just accept it. And it took me until about 19 to finally start to get over that.
Right.
All of the negativity and the really bad obsessive thoughts that I started to have over it. Mind you, that stuff led to cutting and, you know, smoking, that kind of stuff. Basically,
Sure.
anything that I could to be rebellious, but also kind of still hide it in a way, because I didn't want people to know that I'm worse. I'm going down a hill. I'm going real bad.
Yeah.
So you always keep on that mask of, I'm good. Everything's okay. I have a wonderful life.
Yeah.
I have great friends. You know, all that kind of stuff. But,
Well, going back to the Great Escape at 17.
yes.
What was it? Because it seems like you're, you know, that the parents that you did have, your aunt and uncle, that they genuinely cared about you and
Oh,
were
yes.
trying to do best by you,
Yes.
or good by you.
Yes, they do.
What was it that made flying the coop, you know, seem like
Yeah.
just this is the move, this is the best idea ever, you
Well,
know?
Basically, like I said, my dad was a little bit more stricter. He was definitely the one that enforced punishment and stuff like that when it came time to it. And the one day before work, I had just gotten off school. One of my friends wanted to hang out, who was a guy, and I only had so much time between school and work to get dressed and ready. And I thought, well, I'll kill two birds with one stone, pick him up in the car, my mom's car that I had been borrowing, you know, and I can drive home, put my clothes on, or change my clothes, and go back out. And this entire time we can hang out.
Yeah.
Mind you, that was not allowed. Nobody else was supposed to be in my car with me. It was just supposed to be me and stuff like that. So I knew this was against rules, and I knew it was definitely against rules to take them to the house when I knew nobody was going to be there. And come to find out, Dad was home.
Oops.
So that reaction, like, basically I was in trouble. I was in deep, deep trouble, like the biggest trouble I've ever been in my life. And at that point, my anxiety flared up even harder and was like, no, I can't deal. I don't want to know how they're going to react. I don't want them to go, I don't want you here anymore either.
Right.
So it was an immediate flight. Like, I can't deal with it. I can't do this. So
Yeah.
I called up a friend and I was like, can I stay with you? I don't want to go home. I got off work early because Dad was supposed to come pick me up after work because he took the car away.
Right.
Because I did something stupid. And I basically left without them knowing where I was. And then they finally got a hold of me on my phone. I told them that I wasn't coming home. I don't want to come home tonight. I'm staying with such and such. You know, they wound up calling the sheriff's office on me.
Oh, dear.
But at that time, I was 17, and legally in Missouri, I was an adult, so they couldn't do anything. And that just kind of snowballed into finding the wrong person for me and running my little butt off to Ava instead.
How long did that last?
Off and on for a couple of years.
Okay.
But I came back from Ava a few months later on the stipulation that he could come with me
Okay.
and stay with us and whatnot. That, looking back, I know that was not the smart thing, but it happens, I guess.
Yeah, of course. But you said you came back, you finished your high school up. You know, so that shows that you hadn't thrown in the towel on yourself.
Yeah. There's always been like a small fighting flame. Like, mind you, I have Irish in me. So like I don't necessarily give up easily.
Right.
If I set my mind to something, I'm gonna do it with any means necessary, kind of thing.
Yes, of course.
And luckily, I was able to get my mom and dad and repair our relationship, and we're way better off than we were now. Like, yet again, right back to being best friends with both of them. Absolutely love them to death. And then about 2.5, 3 years ago, I met who I'm with now,
Yeah.
Bill. And after a lot of introspection and growing up, a lot of growing up, I realized it's just kind of like, wow, I was very short-sighted in a lot of my things that I did in my life. It's just kind of like, I'm capable of a lot more. I wear that adoption with pride now. It's just like that's part of me now, you know? Like it's only a small part of my story. It does not define everything that I am.
Exactly.
Kind of thing. So.
What's when you found out that you were adopted at 11 years old, when they told you, did you have an immediate desire to know your real parents?
Not really.
Did you have a chance to meet them?
Yes, I actually have. I've met both my biological mom and my biological dad.
At what age did you meet them for the first time?
18, 19.
Okay, so you were an adult.
Yeah, I was an adult. For the most part, it was kind of a taboo subject in the family.
I'm sure.
Mainly because of the way it went down. It was not very fair to my biological father.
Right.
The way the mother side of the family dealt with it. And I don't necessarily talk to her anymore. But I do talk to him quite often. I actually just saw him the other night. Hung out with him a little bit.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's really nice, actually. You know, that you're open to being able to establish a relationship with your biological father, even as an adult, and be open, you know, to that. That says a lot about your character.
Well, for me, it's like I have one dad, which is Sean. You know,
of course.
He's always going to be my daddy. My mom is always going to be Becky. Mommy and daddy. And then I have mom and dad, you know, from the other side. And it's just, I see it differently. Like, they are not on the same level, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, Aaron, my biological father, is not on the same level as Sean, my daddy.
Right.
Kind of thing. Like, first and foremost, I would go to Sean.
Right.
For pretty much anything. Luckily now, our relationship has gotten to there.
Yeah.
Because some things were said because of the running away and stuff like that between all different kinds of parties that should not have been said, and it tended to sour things a bit, but luckily we've gotten back from that.
Yeah, that's good. You can't, you know, it is tough. I've definitely you know, let my mouth run when it shouldn't have been, and didn't take time out for myself and collect myself before I have said some things that, like you said, you can't take them back, but you can hopefully heal later on in life and come together with a better understanding of things. When at some point were you know, when you came back and you finished off school, and then at 19 you've dumped the excess baggage that you had accumulated at 17 or whatever. But did you start? Had you started thinking about your own personal life and survival and the outcome of your future and what to do?
No, mainly because the main thing I was worried about at that point was finding someone who wanted me.
Okay.
Because still at that point I was still a little iffy with the adoption stuff. And I had always had a humongous fear, which is part of where my anxiety stems from, of not being wanted or just being judged in general. So it was basically live with my parents from birth till 18, and then basically right at 18 I moved in with my ex-husband.
Yeah.
And lived with him for 7 years, and then with them, kind of thing. And it was just, I was so concerned about making sure that somebody wanted me and loved me, and I didn't care about myself. I didn't care about my needs and my well-being. I solely put all my attention on the other person. And it took a divorce and meeting another person to realize, no, I do matter. I do need to care about myself. Sometimes I do have to put myself first.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you know, that said, by putting other people ahead of you, and the desire for some type of reciprocal
Yeah.
love and adoration and
Yeah.
this but then you're foregoing
Mm-hmm.
loving and adoring yourself.
Yeah.
That push and that pull, that tearing apart inside of you, did it actually have a negative effect on the relationships you were trying to have?
Yes, that's actually eventually what caused my divorce.
Right.
Was just because I had gotten so unhappy with my life, even though I was trying to do everything I could, well, everything I thought I could, to make everybody around me happy. I'm sitting here going, well, why am I not happy?
Yeah.
Everybody else seems to be happy, but I'm not happy, and I don't understand this. And then I started kind of looking into myself, and it's just like, okay, what is making me so unhappy? It's because I feel trapped right now. I feel like I can't do anything. I basically became a shut-in from it. I was stay-at-home wife, and I really didn't do anything but sit in bed all day and watch videos.
Wow.
Like, I had gotten that far down into the negativity and stuff like that. It's just like, this is unhealthy. This isn't good for me. And at some point, something clicked in my brain, was like, you need to get up off your butt.
Yeah, what was that point? I'm curious. Because
I'm-
everybody has an aha moment, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's one of those powerful ones that just slams you on the head and you wake up, or sometimes it's a really slow rolling.
It was definitely a really slow rolling one, because my ex-husband, for the first 3 years of our relationship, we had tried to get pregnant, tried to have kids, and I came to find out that that's going to be very, very hard for me. Not impossible, but very hard. And that just kind of added on to now I'm even unhappier.
Oh, wow.
And even more stressed. And then there was financial stuff that was coming in, because I wasn't working. He was the only one working. And I wasn't able to really do anything, because just anxiety and nervousness. I didn't want to be judged. I couldn't hold down a job. I bounced probably between 2 or 3 different jobs, trying really hard.
Yeah.
And it was just like one thing or another was always stopping me and always making me lose the jobs. Whether it be because I was so terrified to be judged that I would just call in sick over and over and over.
Wow.
Or what I didn't know then, I know now. Like, I have fibromyalgia. I actually have physical issues. But back then, I thought I was just making up excuses in my brain.
Right.
When in reality, it wasn't. But it was just, it was very dark.
Yeah.
And at some point, it was kind of like the last 2 years of our relationship was when I slowly started realizing, I'm not happy. I need to change something. I don't know what it is yet, but I need to change something. And then one day I just sat him down and I was like, look, I'm not happy. I can't do this. I need to be able to go and explore and find what makes me happy.
Yeah.
Like, I need this, otherwise I'm just going to wither away and die, most likely.
Well, it sounds to me like you had never, at least up to that point, you had never really had that opportunity once you were told at 11 that you were adopted.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, it seems like you were afforded a lot of that opportunity, but the trauma of that information and the impact of that, it seemed, from the story you've told me so far, it seems like that self-worth just went.
Yes, exactly.
It
took me a very long time to figure out that I was worth something all on my own, that I didn't need others to validate me.
Exactly.
That I could validate myself. I can be proud of what I do and what I put out in the world. I don't need another person saying, hey, you did a good job.
Exactly.
And it took me a very long time. Mind you, I'm only 28 now. So, I mean, I'm still pretty young. But for me, it took me majority of my life to figure out that I'm actually worth something.
Yeah.
God put me here on this earth for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just to take up space.
Yeah.
It just
it's really great that you at this age that you have had that turnaround, because especially now with the fibromyalgia, am I saying it correctly? I don't know a whole lot about it. When did you find out about that diagnosis?
That was actually just a few years ago.
Okay, so
a year or so ago.
When you did find out about that, because I'm assuming that You get tired more easily?
Very fatigued. My joints, random pain, referred pain. Sometimes my whole body just feels
So if you,
achy
so
and everything.
yeah, and I can imagine that if you don't know that you have it, and you're going through life and you're already feeling down, and you're already in a somewhat of a depressed, anxious state, and then you couple that with these actual physical ailments that you don't even know what they are, you probably internalize that as well. I mean,
I did.
When you found out the diagnosis, was that like a weight lifted off your shoulders in a way, or was it?
In a way, yeah, it actually was, because it was just like, okay, cool. I'm not making this up in my head. I'm not imagining that I really am that fatigued, or I really am in that much pain. You know, like having somebody look at you and go, what you felt your entire life is real, really does help. And it's kind of like, okay, now that I can put a name to this, I can begin to work with it. I can begin to understand it better. I can begin to go, okay, well, this hurts it, this helps it, this I can get away with, this I can't, kind of thing.
Yeah, when you remove the mystery, it certainly must afford a lot more stability, for sure. And now that you know what the diagnosis is, you can gather the tools to make the life adjustments, to balance that out.
Yeah.
So it seems like you're feeling pretty good today.
I am. I really am.
I love that. And I know you have your own office and you're doing your own thing. What are you up to today?
Well, basically, I am getting ready to. I'm getting my office or craft room, as I put it, set up so I can just go in there, because I want a room where I can just step in and be inspired and be happy. And so I've got my own little area. I've got a big desk set out where I can just paint or do any kind of craft that I want, because I like to dabble in all kinds of things. And basically, I have started out.
We'll just hold off on a second for that one. If there wasn't any number of weird noises in the background, they just had to ecstasy the moment with just what were they just dragging a
trailer?
Trailer hitch on the ground?
I think he's using a backhoe to clean the street off.
That's probably not the smartest move, but so I am so sorry.
No, you're fine.
My phone should not be on either. So, what are you trying? What are you looking to? Are you looking to start a business?
Basically, just work from home, because luckily, our lifestyle affords that. Like, I have the luxury of being able to just stay home and do what I want. So I'm basically working on my own business company, so to speak, where I can make my arts and crafts, and I'm going to make an Etsy page and just sell it on there. Whoever wants it can have it, and I'll have a little extra money every so often. And my business name that I came up with was Panda's Mind Palace.
Panda's Mind Palace.
Yes.
Panda's Mind, M-I-N-D. Panda's Mind Palace. I love the name.
Well, because that's where I go for all my thoughts.
Your mind
and stuff.
palace.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's where I find my inspiration to do different paintings and stuff like that.
I love it. You seem like from what you went through, that you've at a very short time period, being 28 now, you've collapsed a lot of time that you could have drug out for the next 10, 15, 20 years, or the rest of your life, potentially. Yeah, they are really he's just, it's not clean in the street, I can guarantee you that. It's probably just scraping it up a bit. But that said, do you see anything about your character, about what was hidden inside of you, that was that spark that still burned as an ember throughout all of the dark times and everything up till now, where I can see that it's on fire.
Yeah.
The ember has now become a flame. And but what was it, when you're looking back, what was it that kept the ember from going out?
Family.
Okay.
That has always been a very, very strong underlying thing for my entire life is I come from a very big family. My mom, all together with half brothers, half siblings, step siblings, about 24 kids.
Wow.
So I have a humongous family. And it's always been just one of those things that there is always someone in that family that if I needed, I could go talk to. And they would somewhat understand what I was going through.
For sure.
Because my mom and dad had fostered a few of my cousins as well when they were younger. So it's like they weren't new to the child game, but I was their only actual child.
Right.
That they actually adopted and whatnot. But it's basically just cousins and all of them, aunts and uncles that I could just, and my grandma, I could just run to anytime I had an issue. And it's like, what do I do?
Man, that's a huge benefit because there's so many kids that go through similar experiences as you that just don't have the backup support there and the safety net like that. That being said, what would you, being still young, and what would you be able to tell a kid out there who's maybe going through something similar that you went through, or is in a dark space like that? What kind of advice can you offer to them to maybe help keep their ember from going out?
Just hold out hope. You are worth something. You really are. Every single person on this earth, I fully believe that. Everybody has something to give to someone or anything. And I mean, for me, it was finding that one thing, like for me, family, that no matter what, I would always feel happy with. It would always bring me joy. And I supplemented that with like music. If I was feeling sad, I very quickly learned that I could change my attitude and everything with music. Or I'd get lost in a book.
Yeah.
It's just, you're worth it. Keep fighting through it. I know it sucks. It really sucks right now. But trust me, it gets better. It really, really does. And I know that is as cliche as they come.
Yes.
But it really, really does.
It does. So just remember that if you feel like you're at the end of your rope, and it's just darkness for days, remember to hang on to hope, because just like Panda here has expressed, there's going to be a moment where the ember comes back to life and your flame starts to burn again. And I love that. So thanks again so much for spending some time with us. I'm so sorry about all the racket in the background. It's unbelievable the amount of different noises that were happening. It was like a cacophony of different noises: scraping, pinging, chiseling, thumping. I'm like, where are the ducks now? Like, let's bring in a flight of ducks and maybe a marching band to go through the background. I mean, my goodness. So I apologize for all the noise, and I apologize for the loudness for y'all. But this is Love America Tour. We're doing this stuff live, uncut, and it's all we have. So
Yes,
thank you so much again, Love America
Thank you for
Tour.
having me.
You're the best.
Thank you.
And many blessings to you in your future and all of your endeavors. And one more time, tell them the name of your
Panda's Mind Palace.
Panda's Mind Palace. Look out for it.